All right, this is going to be my game reaction video to the Bengals 27-16 win over the Ravens. A very long game with so much detail and so much depth. To be honest with you, I'm not sure that myself or anyone, that's not a professional, I guess, will be able to completely encapsulate this game for you, but I'm going to give it a try. Don't expect me to be able to cover all of the elements. I did make significant notes, to be honest with you, so you will hear me flipping between my pages. Very physical game. I thought the intensity dialed up as the game kind of tightened there in the second half, as the Ravens defense kind of showed the Bengals that they were able to stop them. If you're a Bengals fan and you think that I'm just going to only look at this from a Ravens team perspective and be a homer, listen a little longer and let me know what you think. I think this game, look, my preview on Saturday was called a doubleheader, and I meant that in the future. I meant the Week 18 game, and then also the wild card rematch. But it's crazy now. My brain is thinking of this matchup as a doubleheader from Week 5 to now, Week 18, because there's so many similarities. There's a lot of gameplay that carries over. To be honest with you. If this is your first game review or reaction video that you watch from me, I will generally have stats and pictures show on the screen. Hopefully that text there, that font there is big enough for you guys to see. If it's not, let me know. There's really nothing I can do about it as you guys watch it on YouTube. It's already been recorded. But if you look at the two regular season games between the Ravens and the Bengals, this Ravens defense believes. They believe they can stop the Bengals. And look, clearly so does the Bengals defense, and they should. They're tremendous. They're smart. They're tough. They compete until the whistle. They attack, and they're so balanced on defense. I really, if you're a Ravens fan and you're tired of hearing me praise them, I'm sorry, but I can't help but admire and respect what they do. But look, the Ravens defense matched them today for very long stretches of the game, in my opinion. Let's get through one elephant in the room, though, after me saying that, after me praising the Ravens defense for playing well for 2.5 quarters of the game, okay? So here's the elephant in the room, fictitious scenario that, could happen next week. If next week the Ravens are blessed enough to have a lead in the fourth quarter at the Bengals on the road, and you have Joe Burrow with the ball, one drive to win it, mid-late fourth quarter, it's going to be tough to bet against him, whether you're a Ravens fan or someone who, tries to be independent, or you're, Bengals fan. It's going to be tough to get a bet against Joe Burrow with their track record, their playoff experience last year, all the tough games they played. They've played a very tough schedule this year, their talent offensively, and then the Ravens' fourth quarter collapses this year. I mean, you just have to recognize that. Even though the Ravens defense has put together 8 pretty good quarters against this offense, let's get that out of the way. It's entirely possible that the Ravens defense collapses next week if they get a lead in the fourth quarter. That's just a real observation. All right, flipping papers. I'm muting my mic when I flip my papers now. Be a little bit professional. But let's talk about this. Joe Burrow in 2 games against the Ravens this season. Here's his stats. 49 of 79 passing for 432 yards. That's combined. So 49 completions, 25 in one game, 24 in the other. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 fumble lost on the Ojabo strip today. 62% completion percentage. Now, 62% isn't bad, but Joe Burrow is higher than that for the year. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read out to you all of Joe Burrow's completion percentage numbers for 2022 for this season. So I'm just going to read the percentages, all right? 62% week 1 against the Steelers. 67, 64, 64, 69. That's week 5. So high percent against the Ravens. 24 for 35. So that's a high percent completion percentage. 69 is really good. But it's 217 yards in that first game against the Ravens. Week 6, 76. Ready? He goes on a tear. 76, 81, 71, 78. I mean, who's 4 games in a row? 76, 81, 71, 78. Wow. Then you got 61%. Then week 12 against the Titans, 59%. I think a 20-17 win. 80% against the Chiefs. 59 against the Browns in week 14, a 23-10 win. Still a tough game. Browns played them well. 69% completion percentage against the Bucs when they blew past them in the second half, week 15. 59% today, 25 of 42. How much importance is that the Ravens have held him? Can the Ravens hold him down for 4 quarters next week? Huge question. What do you think? I don't know. I don't know. I'm speculating that we have 8 quarters of data right now. And 2 competitive games, even though today was 17-0 quick, like through 1 quarter plus. Is the Ravens defense question as big a question as will Lamar play? Well, no, but it's close. It is. Today's game, absent turnovers and passing up 3 points early in the first half, which everyone in our Discord, there's like 60 people in there, generally agreed it was the right thing to do. The Bengals were in control. You needed a touchdown. Ravens go for it on 4th down, don't get it. I can't remember what possession that was, but that's a 10-point swing. I mean, for real, it is. Game's only 27-16. Am I saying the Ravens only should have lost 17-16? No. I'm saying the game was closer than 17-0. It was way closer than 17-0 in the first quarter plus. And let's get this out of the way. The Bengals defense is just too good to expect a whole lot of points to be scored on them. They just are. Next week will be a war. It'll be nasty. You saw some of that today. As the game tightened up, I thought mid to late third quarter, you started to see some skirmishes. It looked like their left tackle and Owe got tangled up. Owe was holding him, possibly. I only got one look at it, and that guy drove Owe to the sideline. On, I think, the 4th down when the Bengals failed, Ravens defense was aggressive. They believe. The Bengals defense clearly does. They know. That's the difference. The Bengals defense knows that they can stop people when they need to. The Ravens defense believes they can stop the Bengals because they have 8 quarters of data of them doing so. Expect, as a Ravens fan or a Bengals fan, expect the wars on social media to start this week. Probably now or already, right? Let's move on a little bit from the defense, and we're going to talk about offense and decision-making from the coaching staff, which was clearly, poor offensively for most of the game, with some caveats. You have an interception on the Ravens' second drive. I think it's a 1st down pass where it looks like Anthony Brown just floats it. I'm not sure if there was a misread between, I think it was likely being targeted. To me, it looked like a bad throw. It looked like a floater that he was trying to throw over top the second level, but I didn't get a great look at it. I know they did show it a second time. I thought that was a poor interception by Anthony Brown. Third possession, that interception, to me, seems to fall on Demarcus Robinson. I think the throw could be a foot and a half further out in front of Robinson, who has the guy beat. I like Demarcus Robinson, but I thought he played very poorly today. I don't like saying that about any of the Ravens players, but he generally did not seem to play well today, in my opinion. And that interception, I thought, on the Ravens' third possession falls on his shoulders. Mike Hilton comes up with it after the deflection or drop by Robinson, I guess. Bengals then get another touchdown on that short field. So I think early second quarter is 7-0. In our Discord, we're like, this game's over. This game is over. Get the starters out. The Ravens defense had other ideas. By the way, that second touchdown by the Bengals to make it 17-0, I don't know about you. As a Ravens fan, I was angry that we brought a 5-man rush and we left Daryl Worley. I think it is Daryl Worley, right? My God. We left him one-on-one on Chase up the left sideline. I thought that was unconscionable. I don't understand these 5-man blitzes against this Bengals offense. This Bengals offense is a very different threat than, I almost want to say the rest of the league, maybe except the Dolphins. Those two teams, and maybe there's some others there, maybe the Eagles, we haven't played them. 2 receiver threat. I just feel like the math doesn't add up matchup-wise, especially when you're not playing Marcus Peters and even Brandon Stevens, who would be our, 5th or 6th corner if everyone was healthy, isn't playing. I thought that was that coverage. I think somebody in our Discord, Frank or maybe OG, said it was unconscionable, and I agree. That was a poor coverage decision by our coaches to bring 5 and leave Worley man-to-man on Chase. Ravens, on their 5th possession, get a 10-play, 76-yard drive. Isaiah Likely was balling, and I thought he played great. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Charlie Kolar had a 14-yard catch also. Drake gets the 5-yard touchdown on 2nd and goal. And with about 2 minutes left in the second quarter, 17-7, the Ravens have some momentum. I'm going to mute while I flip through pages. 17-7 Bengals, like a little less than 2 minutes left. like I said, the Ravens got a little bit of momentum going there, and then the defense gets a stop. This was during a stretch where the Ravens defense was playing exceptionally well, and I'll talk about that a little bit. I'll isolate that aspect or element of the game here in a moment, but I'm just going to go through the first half ending. I thought the Ravens coaching staff failed the team, um, and the Bengals special teams, fantastic punt. The Ravens get a stop inside 2 minutes left, maybe right around a minute or 55 seconds left, something like that, when the punt occurs. Great punt. I wish I knew the Bengals punter's name. Angled punt to the right. No chance for Prochet to catch it and return it. No chance for Prochet to catch it and go upfield, right? Ball hits at the 5. Looked like Harbaugh was lecturing Prochet. I was confused by that. There's nothing for Prochet to do. You're taught not to catch it inside of a certain distance, and the 5 is inside of that distance if the ball was in the middle of the field. That looked like, to me, it was really close to the sideline, angling. There no reason for Prochet to try to catch it and stay in bounds and risk a fumble. Thought that was a smart decision. It looked to me like Harbaugh was lecturing him, but maybe I read it wrong. All right, 47 seconds left. The situation changed drastically with that punt. If Prochet's able to field a punt in the middle of the field and get to the 15, and you got 47 seconds left, yeah, the Bengals have 3 timeouts, but we're down 17-7. Possibility the Ravens can go down and get a field goal. You don't need a whole lot of yards to put Justin Tucker in range. Fine. But ball on our own 5, 47 seconds left. Bengals have 3 timeouts. Defense playing well recently, the last 3 possessions. I think you got to run the ball, make them use their timeouts, and try to get the first down running the football. I don't think you stopped the clock once, and we stopped, for them, and we stopped it twice. Close catch by Watkins on the left sideline, ruled incomplete. And then the Bengals rush 3, which is an effective technique. I continue to say that. The Bengals prove it. Maybe that's why I like the Bengals defense so much, because they will use the 3-man rush and drop 8 in coverage. It was snag flat to our left, so the number 1 receiver's running a snag, angled hook, stop, whatever. Inside receivers running a flat route, shoot route. Maybe it was a running back, and that's our go-to in these situations. It was a third down. Brown can't get rid of the football because it's covered up because they have 8 guys in coverage. And Hendrickson gets the sack, strip sack. At first, I thought he beat Stanley badly. On replay, I thought it wasn't as bad a job by Stanley, to be honest with you. But because Brown had to hold the ball on a third down from our 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, something like that, right back up in our end zone, we get a strip sack and give up 7 points, 24-7. Yes, we would like to get rid of the ball. Yes, Stanley should do a better job in pass pro. Maybe the right tackle, Moses, as well. But to me, that is poor decision-making and poor situational awareness by our coaches. I briefly listened to a Bengals broadcast for some reason. I was looking something up and clicked on a link. And to be honest with you, I thought their announcers hit it on the nail. Said that is a mishandled situation by the Ravens coaches. And I totally agree. Bengals 24-7 at the half, which, game over again, clearly. But the game changed. Actually, the game already had. And here's what I'm going to talk about the Ravens defense. I mean, if there's any non-Ravens fans listening or Bengals fans, you may clearly disagree, but the Ravens defense was physical today. They were, in some cases, some people would say overly physical. Hit T. Higgins really hard twice. Tackled Jamar Chase on a screen once. Really, I think it was Worley. Worley played hard. He's limited versus Chase, as you can see by the touchdown picture you got right there. But the Ravens defense was physical. Here's the Bengals possessions after going up 17-0 early second quarter. Now, you can say, well, the Bengals dialed it back. I disagree. I saw them running their offense. I don't think they're putting the franchise quarterback at risk in a game that really means nothing in a lot of ways because they've won the division. They're up 17-0. Their defense is freaking amazing. So I doubt very seriously they're going to blow a 24-7 lead, 17-0 and 24-7 lead at halftime. So in my opinion, they ran their offense based on what I saw. In my opinion, based on the score and the situation, there's no reason why they would put their franchise quarterback at risk if they weren't running their offense. That's my 2 points on that. Here's their possessions after going up 17-0, guys. It's going to give you the data, make conclusions as you wish, but it's Sunday night, so there'll be more film to watch Monday if you're like me. 5 plays, 12 yards punt. That's in the second quarter. 4 plays, 12 yards punt. That's the end of the first half. Opening possession, third quarter. 3 plays, 5 yards punt. Second possession of the third quarter. This is the fourth possession in a row that I'm saying the Ravens defense playing really well. 2 plays, fumble lost on a great job by David Ojabo, strip sack. Ravens are able to cut it to 24-10 there, right? Despite getting the ball on the Bengals 9, red zone offense comes back to haunt them. But the Bengals defense is just so exceptional, man. They force you into 2 decisions, neither one of which is great offensively. And sometimes you got to settle for field goals. I think next week's game might be decided by field goals. I really do. All right, the Bengals then get a field goal to go up 27-10. Here's the Bengals' final 5 possessions. All right? They had 13 possessions today. Punt, punt, downs, punt, punt, again on their 13th possession. Guys, from when the time they went up 17-0, the Bengals then had 10 possessions to finish the game. They got 1 field goal. I don't know, maybe we just disagree and you think that they didn't run their offense. They stopped playing. It looked like to me Jamar Chase was on the field. It looked like T. Higgins was on the field. Joe Burrow was certainly on the field. Bengals are super talented on offense. If you're not willing to give the Ravens defense credit for making 9 stops in a 10-possession stretch against that Bengals offense with all the talent they have and the decision-making that Joe Burrow has shown since he was a rookie in 2020, I'm not sure, that we see the game the same way. I'm going to go a step further. Well, what do you think, first of all, in the comment section of that thought? But we have 8 quarters of data here. So I'm going to show you in a moment. Whoops, wrong one. Absolutely wrong one. My apologies. What's going on here? This sucks. All right, there we go. There's the game 1 stats. Forgive me for clicking on the wrong buttons, but there's the game 1 stats. I'm going to show those in a minute here, but I'm going to talk about the 2-game stretch. The 2 games, week 5 and week 18. 8 quarters of data. Ravens defense, Bengals offense, all right? Check me on my math. I think they have 21 possessions, the Bengals, 12 punts. Seems like a decent percentage to me, a little less than 60%, right? 12 out of 20 would be 60%, so I think it's 55%. I could be wrong. 12 punts out of 21 possessions, 4 touchdowns, 2 turnovers, meaning the interception that Burrow threw in the third quarter of week 5, and then the strip sack fumble today. Also turned it over on downs twice, all right? Once today and once in week 5, and then 3 field goals. So you have 7 scoring drives, 4 touchdowns, 3 field goals in 21 possessions. So someone in the comment section is going to have to let me know whether that's a good percentage or not, because I don't know. What's the scoring percent drop? That seems kind of high to me actually. Now that I read them out, but I think it's 21 possessions, 37 points for the Bengals offense, because they got the strip sacks today by Hendrickson. That Joseph Asai, the second-year player, very talented guy, man. Thought that was a smart draft pick by them last year. That Joseph Asai recovered in the end zone. 37 points of offense in 21 possessions. So not 2 points per drive. You're talking about, I guess it would be 1.73 points per drive, something like that. I don't know where that stands, so maybe that's not as good as I thought. Ravens forced 2 turnovers in those 2 games and held them the field goal. If the Ravens can hold them the field goals and force 1 or 2 turnovers next week, I think they have a great chance to win, whether Lamar plays or not. I know that sounds crazy. I know there'll be people who don't like it. Let's look at the first game stats, for a moment. And I'm going to switch back and forth here between the first game stats and today's, and we're talking team stats. So what you see right now is the first game stats. You've got yards per play for the Bengals. That's the left-hand column at 4.9. I'm going to switch back for a moment. There's today. Now it's on the right-hand side because they were the home team. Yards per play, 4.0. Do I expect it to be 4.0 next week? No. Do I expect it to be 4.9? I think it's possible. I think it's entirely possible that the Ravens, look at the yards. Let's do it this way. Look at the yards, the first game, 291. It's on the left-hand side, lower left portion, okay, like 7:30, 8 o'clock position, something like that. Cincinnati, 291 yards in week 5. Ravens, 325. Of course, the Ravens got the ball last, right? And Lamar let us down. Game-winning field goal by Tucker. If the Bengals got the ball with another minute, 30 or 2 minutes, you'd think they'd end up with 340 yards and probably, win 20-19 on a game-winning field goal if McPherson can make it. I know he struggled with extra points, which is crazy because he was so clutch last year. Back to week 19 stats. Look on the left. Ravens, 386. 4 turnovers, obviously huge. Cincinnati, 257. How big, how important, how real do you think these stats are? I don't know. Maybe you may have a different opinion with me. So let's move past that, I guess. It sounds crazy that it's an 11-point loss for the Ravens, who have high standards. The fans do, clearly. We've been angry most of the year. An 11-point loss, and somehow we feel confident going back there next week. That seems like a low standard. Personally, I'm talking about myself. Seems like a low standard. I think it's going to be a slugfest next week. I really do. Both offenses, in my opinion, need to make adjustments. And that really is advantageous to the Bengals. I would offer to you the amount of tough games they've played in the last 2 years, their Super Bowl run last year, their tough schedule this year, all the times they've played the Chiefs, which I think is 3 in the last 2 years. Hopefully you don't hear my son holler in the background. Their offense seems better suited to make adjustments versus our defense than our offense making adjustments against their defense. I'm just talking relative strength and weakness. Let's go over the real serious question marks for next week. Is Amar going to play or not? Huge question mark. Sorry, my son's hollering. Another question mark. Do Ravens coaches see what I think I saw today, which is this? More likely and Kolar with Andrews is better than Andrews with Oliver and or Ricard. That's just what I thought I saw today. Just because of the big plays that we were able to develop, and I'll go over those in a moment. This is a long reaction video. My apologies. Serious look has to be made, I think, at Ojabo, Houston, JPP, Oweh, and Bowser. Can we get all 5 of them active again next week with Andrews, Dobbins, and Lamar active? I don't know. Roquan Smith played hard today. He's a hitter. He was laying the wood and all over the place. He was not there to cede any ground, and I thought he set a tone. Worley was competing even though he was overmatched. I want to talk about our offense. Look, I thought Anthony Brown competed as well. Certainly made some mistakes early. I think he was put in bad position at least twice in this game. Bengals are smart. Presented him with a lot of challenges. Wouldn't expect to see him starting next week, clearly. But having said that, absent the strip sack, I know I mentioned this already, absent the strip sack and the Ravens getting a field goal in the first half when they went for it on 4th down, this game could be a lot closer. Unless things changed, today suddenly. That I think I saw. Again, the Ravens made 9 stops in a 10-possession sequence. That seems quite consistent to me. Let's talk about the offense. They did have big plays today. I don't know if I want to call an 11 or 12-yard pass play a big play, so maybe those are medium plays. But I'm going to read out to you 10 or 11 plays that happened today offensively for the Ravens. On the road, obviously with our third-string quarterback against what I think is one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best. 12-yard completion to Likely on a slant, lined up in the slot. 28-yard completion to Likely up the left sideline, taking it from Eli Apple. Great catch, great timing, great trust by Anthony Brown to throw it. 14-yard catch by Charlie Kolar in the middle of the field in the same possession. A 12-yard catch to Likely on another slant from the slot position on the right, very similar to Andrews' routes. Then a huge play to Prochet on a wheel route up the right sideline. Anthony Brown found him. Anthony Brown had scrambled out to the right. Prochet looked like barely stepped out of bounds. Wheel route takes him to the sideline. It's an inside route. I think he was a number 2 receiver. He's running it out to the sideline. It's a vertical that's run up the sideline from an inside alignment. So it's a wheel. It's kind of shaped like the letter J a little bit, except not the furthest capital letter J, or maybe lowercase letter J is the better way to use it. But Mike Hilton, who's a fantastic defender, Prochet beat him, but Hilton makes contact with him, kind of influences him more towards the sideline. Prochet steps out of bounds. Didn't count, obviously, but it's a huge gain. It's like 45 yards. No, that 3 or 4 or 5 inches of him stepping out of bounds didn't matter a damn thing in terms of the play that was made by Anthony Brown and the play that was made by Prochet against Mike Hilton. That was a huge play. 40, 45 yards, something like that. Didn't count, came back, we had to punt. Another 14-yard completion to Kolar. An 11-yard completion to Marcus Robinson, who I did not think played well today. I said that already. Snag flat concept. 32-yard completion to Sammy Watkins up the right sideline against their rookie corner. And I think that's a matchup the Ravens need to look at. I think he's too big. It's possible he's too big and too strong for that guy, just based on 2 or 3 of the throws I saw out there. A 22-yard completion to Likely. And then the big one, a huge gain to Watkins on the same route. Just Brown just throwing it up the right sideline and saying, go get it, Sammy. And he wins the matchup. Then the safety, Von Bell, who's one of the most underrated players in the entire NFL, comes over and strips Watkins, who I think demonstrated some poor ball security, but also you had two defenders there, fighting with him. It would have been like a 40-yard game. Look, guys, you're talking about not 9 of those plays counted. The Prochet one did not, obviously. 9 of those plays are 11 yards or more. Completions, pass plays, 11 yards or more. If you can get a decent run game going, and you can generate another 5 to 7, 11, 12-yard passes or longer, I mean, why can't the Ravens get to 21, 22, 23, 24 points? Why can't they? With Lamar playing, obviously. I don't know. Does it give you any confidence, the big plays they were able to make today? Last point I'm going to make, and then we'll be done. I know this reaction video is going on a little long. Something to mention. I think this was a great competition today. These teams believe they can beat each other, and they seriously want to beat each other. That sets yourself up for a great competition, for a great sporting event, for a great game. I respect the Bengals. I admire them, especially defensively. I think their defense, as a football observer, I have to respect and admire their defense from what I think I see. There's certain things I don't understand. Some of their coverages I still don't understand. Some of their rules I wish I did, because you don't know what coverage they're playing. But I think they're incredibly smart to get to 20, 21, 23, 24 points organically, meaning no turnovers like today, where the Ravens got a strip sack that unfortunately they only turned into a field goal. I'm talking about Ojabo's strip sack on Burrow. For the Ravens to organically get to between 20 and 24 points is going to be tough, even with Lamar against this defense. They're just that good. They're very multiple. They play hard. They're so smart. They tackle well. They generally don't give up big plays, but today they did. And that's the part that's interesting to me. Against Anthony Brown. All right, so I'm going to mention 3 factors that I think are important for next week that I'll cover in some of my videos, film study videos this week. I thought it was a great game. It was fun to watch. There was a lot of anxiety, and then the 17-0 Bengals lead kind of reduced that anxiety. It was kind of like, okay, we know that the Bengals are going to win, and we're going back to Cincinnati next week. And then the Ravens, made a go of it. Defensively, I thought the defense spearheaded that, in my opinion. Be interesting to see if the Bengals make adjustments next week. I still feel like 11 personnel, the Bengals can run the ball better than they did today. I think they were 20 for 55 yards. Mixon and Perrine are better than that. They've made plays for that team consistently. Mixon for longer than Perrine. But Perrine had that big screen for a touchdown against the Chiefs last year, I think in the third quarter. I might be wrong. Maybe it was second quarter. But those two guys are talented. 11 personnel runs, particularly to the boundary. I think the Bengals can get going against this Ravens defense. But the Ravens, held them 20 for 55. I think 20 carries for 55 yards today. All right, the 3 elements I want to mention that I think are predictive is, does Lamar play next week? Not does he play well. Does he play? Now, if he plays incredibly poorly, then that's a different story. But just Lamar being there, the threat, I think, adds another element. Someone on Twitter, Stacey Arnett, I think, mentioned removing the possible quarterback design run plays. And I think that's an interesting element. To just remove that from the game plan completely, because the Bengals are going to have to prepare for it. And they've done a good job defending the option, generally, I thought. I think RPO passes to the flats are sometimes there against this Bengals defense, but the pistol option plays, I don't think are, to be honest with you. It would be interesting to me to see Lamar play and us remove that from the equation in terms of the game plan, and then go to it as an adjustment or late game thing. That's element number 1. Does Lamar play? Element number 2, the 2 defenses. Can the Ravens defense play 4 more quarters like they have played against Joe Burrow? Let's pause it here. Look, Joe Burrow's a hell of a quarterback. He's a potential Hall of Fame guy, if you ask me. I know some of you guys don't like me saying that. But look at the career trajectory. 2020, he did so many fantastic things. 2021, they go to a Super Bowl after drafting Jamar Chase. And then here they are again, now 12-4. Only played 16 games, obviously, because of the tragedy, Damar Hamlin, that now he's making an unbelievable recovery. So, again, another shout-out to him and his family and the Bills and so many people, how they handled it. With class, that he's hopefully on the way to a full recovery. But Joe Burrow is on an unbelievable track. He just is. Can the Ravens hold him down for another 4 quarters like today? If he goes 25 for 42 next week for 215 and only 1 touchdown, this game will go down to the last 5 or 6 minutes. It will. If Lamar plays and the Ravens aren't able to get anything, big plays going against the Bengals defense again. I think the Bengals defense is a rock. Again, the difference to me is the Bengals defense knows they can stop you when it counts. The Ravens defense today looks like they believed. And that's a powerful thing, to believe something. I think these two teams are on a crash course. I think we're looking at a great football game next week. I have no say in the matter, but me personally, I'm going to try to interact with Ravens and Bengals fans, in a balanced way and not be judgy because people are passionate. People are passionate. They're going to root for their team, Ravens, Bengals, whatever. It's a AFC North division battle. There were so many circumstances leading to this game, so there will be anxiety, there will be anger, there will be frustration, there'll be people lashing out. I look forward to a great game. I think these are two teams, record-wise, they don't look balanced for real. 12-4 for the Bengals against a Super Bowl loser schedule or Super Bowl, runner-up schedule, I should say. Nobody, in my opinion, loses in the Super Bowl when they play as well as the Bengals did last year. Ravens 10-7 with multiple blown games could easily be 12-5, but they are not. They're 10-7. So record-wise, they're not balanced, but I think the gameplay through two games looks pretty balanced. You guys let me know what you think. That's element number 2. One being Lamar. Does Lamar play? 2, these two defenses, how do they play? What level of effectiveness do they have? Can the Ravens defense hold Joe Burrow down and prevent the big plays again? And then number 3, turnovers. Bengals won 27-16 at home today in a game where they only turned it over once, and that turnover only led to 3 field goals for the Ravens, and the Ravens turned it over 4 times. I think there is some evidence that this is going to be a 1917 game again, or 2019 game, depending on who gets the ball last. I do. Now, those 3 elements, Lamar, the defenses, and turnovers, to me, those things fall under an umbrella, or they funnel into one thing and one thing only that I think has a bigger impact. I shouldn't say bigger impact. One thing that determines those 3 things, Lamar playing, how well he plays, the defenses and the turnovers, and that's this. Coaching adjustments between now and next week. Whatever side makes the better coaching adjustments between now and next week will win the game. Could the Bengals offense make adjustments and come out and score 31 against the Ravens? Absolutely. I don't know how. Unless they get the run game going and they catch the Ravens in these 5-man blitzes. When the Ravens bring 4, it seems like they're in a better position to defend Burrow. I'm going to go one step further. I offer to you that against some of the empty formations, the Ravens should, by default, rush 3. And the edge players, whatever side Burrow opens up to, should drop out. Because we have to defend the screens better than we did early in today's game. I thought 3 or 4 or 5 screens at a bunch or empty was huge gains for the Bengals. Ravens finally adjusted. If the Ravens can bring 4, get some pressure on Burrow and hold him down, not turn the ball over, play a high quality of defense, I think they have a chance next week. What level of confidence do I have? 50%. Between 45 and 55. That's Sunday night as I record this. Tuesday, after watching the All-22 and seeing how the Bengals took a 17-0 lead so easily, my confidence level might be 25. But I think that these two teams will compete. They will fight. I think it's going to get nasty. I think it's going to be super physical. The infusion of Lamar would be huge. J.K. Dobbins as well. J.K. Dobbins is a huge factor in this game next week. And I think he's a huge factor without Patrick Ricard being on the field. I like Patrick Ricard. I think this is my last point, and this goes along the lines of adjustments. The Bengals defense has answers to Pat Ricard being on the field with Andrews and Oliver. They have answers to Pat Ricard being on the field with Andrews and no Oliver. So 21 personnel, all right? They have the answers to those questions. I saw some evidence today that the same answers are not as quick in the Bengals' pocket, in the Bengals' knowledge base, in the Bengals' ability to apply. The same answers are not as quick with Kolar likely on the field with Andrews. And I know that, people are down on our wide receivers, and they should be. Those guys played poor today. Watkins with the fumble. Robinson, poor ball security. Dropped at least one pass, maybe 2. So those guys did not play well. My point is, I think the personnel switch the Ravens could pull is a quick adjustment to see how the Bengals handle it. Am I saying that it'll work and the Ravens will score 28 points? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the Ravens have to have adjustments prepared, If they're going to go in there next week and line up in 22 personnel with Pat Ricard and Oliver and Andrews, and they're going to keep Likely and Kolar off the field, and that's what they're going to do, the same stuff that we saw after the bye for 4 or 5 weeks. If that's what the Ravens are going to do, the Bengals are going to stop it, and they're going to win the game. 80, 90% certainty, that would be my projection right now as it stands Sunday night. Let me know where your thoughts are with that. I think the Ravens can grab the initiative by changing personnel groups a little more, catching the Bengals off guard. I'm interested in the hurry-up that they used a little bit today. I'm kind of emboldened by 11-point loss, and that's a weird place to be in because I think the Bengals can play better than they did today, but I think the Ravens can too. I think we're in for a war. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you listen this long, really appreciate it, whether you're a Ravens fan or a Bengals fan. You guys both got good football teams, and it's going to be a hell of a battle next week. It'll be fun to watch just like this one was. Appreciate you guys' time.